You're not frozen.
Okay, so thank you all for joining us today, especially at such last minute. We do have someone that's going to be coming on board to help us with the political action piece, but I think they had some things that came up and we got to get the ball rolling. And so I was hoping we would have had something activated last month, but guess what? We're going to pick up here, and then going forward, we'll be able to get on pace because again, we want to definitely get things in place for the general election that's coming up in November. And then there will likely be a runoff election in this upcoming election. So we want to get something in place. And one thing I want to share with you all, and again, I mentioned our personal, my personal organization, C Bates. One thing that we're doing, we have been asked to join a effort that was first introduced in Georgia, and everyone knows what happened in Georgia, right? And so one thing they found, they brought in someone to actually do get data and actually to really do the research and find out what was effective and what wasn't. And one thing they found is that doing transactional work wasn't very effective. But on the other hand, when they engaged in relational work, it lasts longer, it had a greater impact, and you created trust within the community. And then if we were there active beyond just voting, which our branch does, we do participate in other things outside of that. So we have to let people know, just as we're letting them know, get engaged, civically engaged, and vote, and this, that, and the other. But also DFW Metro NAACP does this, and this. So let me see if I can share my screen. So I did prepare a PowerPoint. And again, you all bear with me. I am usually just a little bit more organized than this. But unfortunately, I left my laptop at home. So I am trying to make this work. So can you all see my laptop? I mean, the screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So as I stated, Texas primary elections are coming up. The early voting is going to start from primary 22. Okay, hold on, somebody's trying to log in. Early voting is going to be from February 14th through the 25th. And as you all know, election day is going to be on the 1st, okay, of March. So there has been a call for us to engage. They're asking different organizations across the state to engage in a day of action. And that day is particularly the 20th, at Sunday. But they also want to consider, there are some organizations that are actually doing things that Saturday on the 19th. So I definitely want to put that out there because that's always an option too, depending on what your ideas are. So this is just a few ideas that I have started with just to get the ball rolling and our minds going. If any of this, so Souls to the Polls registry, or do any of you all know what I mean by that, or participated with us the last time that we did that?
I'm familiar with it through my church, Crystal. Concord Church does Souls to the Polls.
Okay. And so basically, thank you so much for joining the call, Ms. Bridget. And Renthia, thank you for coming back. And sorry, I don't know what happened that you got kicked off. So let me tell you all, with Souls to the Polls, what we did our very first year of initiating DFW Metro, our resources were slim. We had very little manpower, but we wanted to have an impact. We didn't have a standing location or anything like that. So what we did was a Souls to the Polls registry. The Souls to the Polls registry, we sent out letters and we made personal calls to different churches or organizations that we already knew. We asked them for them to develop and plan an event on Super Sunday. Super Sunday is that Sunday within that period of early voting. And so basically they could have met at any location. It could have been in a parking lot at the store, at Walmart. If they had a church, they could meet there. We asked them to caravan, to ask their members to decorate their vehicles and them to travel to their nearest polling place. Some of the churches decided to have a lot of pastors across the nation normally preach a sermon on voting and encouraging civic engagement on that day. Or some churches may have a rally, or different organizations may have a rally that day, and they invite the community to come out and travel with them to a local polling place where they all vote together. So people can kind of do what they want to do. But the main thing is that we were able to encourage, I think we had at least 10 or 12 churches or organizations to sign up. We encouraged them to participate and do something. And we were able, Drew, our superstar, she wrote out a press release. And with that press release, we listed all of the local places or organizations that had planned a event for that day. And so on that day, literally, you all, on that Super Sunday, it was so exciting. I had reporters from all over the Metroplex that were calling, trying to get to the various locations so they could cover them, the story. And so it was really, really neat. So again, where we were small, we had very little manpower, and we had limited resources, we were able to have a huge impact. Hundreds were able to participate. Several different organizations were able to get their events highlighted on the news and covered, and had coverage because of our effort of basically creating a registry. And guess what? People that were not associated with a certain church or a different group, that a group that was doing it, they were able to see in the church, in the, I think the Star Telegram, they shared, they did a story on it. They were able to see and identify who was having an event, and they were able to choose to go out and participate. So we had a huge event versus us doing a Souls to the Polls or a Super Sunday event. We basically were that force that encouraged other organizations to do it. So where we probably could have reached maybe 25, 30 people or even 50 as one entity doing it, we were able to create put a plan in place that resulted in hundreds going out and early voting on that Super Sunday. So what we did do, we also made, I created a generic flyer. Karen created a flyer that advertised the entire event. But I had another flyer that if it was a small entity that did not have a graphics designer and they didn't have money for it, they were able to let me know in advance, and I just tweaked the information to include their date, time, and location. But Karen, I'm pretty sure Karen and her team created the flyer that advertised what we were doing. And then Karen, I think Karen and Lori did the event. We did an Eventbrite where people were able to register their event with Eventbrite. So it was really, really cool. So I want to share just some other ideas and take some other ideas from you all. But before we go forward, I want to ask, does anybody have any questions about that? Or comments? Okay. So another thing, so let's take some ideas from you all of things that we can do. And again, our goal is, number one, to rally people to early vote, to rally people to get out and vote. Education, so mobilization, we want to mobilize people and engage people. So mobilization and engagement. Also, at this point, education, educating people on where they can vote, where they can get information about candidates. That's something that we can do to have an impact. What other areas can we impact? Also, what does workers fall up under engagement? I think that's under civic engagement too. We can mobilize. I know Monica, she responded to that call during our first year and she became an election worker. So we can create a flyer where we are recruiting out in the community, getting people to recruit people to get out and participate as election workers. That's an option as well. So those are just a couple of ideas that I just wanted to throw out there just to get the conversation going. So I would like to stop running my mouth for a second and hear some ideas from you all. So of course, we are trying to get things in place for the upcoming election. But after we do that, we will also take some ideas of things that we can engage in 365 days.
Crystal, I know that at one point somebody was going to research what parts of our area had the lowest voter turnout, and we're going to concentrate on those areas. Did we ever get that information?
We did not. And let me, let's see how to do this. Okay, we did not, but I want to put it on here because I probably can get somebody to look that up for us. Let's go to this page. Okay, anybody else? I like that idea because that's going to be important. One thing that has been discussed, many of you all know that I am a part of an organization called Our Vote, Our Voice. And one thing that they do is they have voting hubs where they go to different locations on a specific day and they register people to vote. And what they do is they identify locations and get the approval, and then they ask various organizations to adopt a weekend or a day that they man that location. So for instance, they pick a local grocery store, they get the approval to be in that space. They're there at a specific time, maybe 12 to 4 every Saturday. They may get a different organization that goes a particular Saturday. That's a good way to get some of our sororities and fraternities or even high school organizations to adopt a day and get engaged. It's not necessarily saying that just us, only our group goes out, but that's a way for us to engage other people. That's a great idea too. So, and that would go into play. I brought that up because what Karen just mentioned, I think that was Karen that mentioned that about identifying where those low voter turnout areas are. That will allow us to target those areas to put voter hubs. So I'm gonna put voter hubs here. Anybody else have any comments on that, or what are your thoughts?
I have a question, Crystal. This is Arinthia Haynes.
Thanks.
So although we're going to do those voting hubs, what tools and resources are we pulling this information from? Are we pulling it from possibly like based upon zip codes within our counties? How do we obtain that information? That's something that I would like to know. So see if I can offer to help.
Right. So I really should know how to pull that information. There's an Nancy, do you know have you ever used Band before? It's a platform called Band, which I think anybody can have access to it. And I have seen people do presentations with it. I'm sorry, was somebody speaking? I've seen.
Are you saying Band or Band? B-A-N-D.
I think it's B as in Victor. Band.
Van, so okay. Thank you.
It is public information. I have never did it myself, so I can get somebody to show me how to do it, or I can get somebody to do it for us. Sean Reed is a superstar, and I am proud to say that he is a member of our branch. So I can get Sean. I'm sure I can ask him to pull that information for our community. I would think just from the top of my head, our target areas would be probably Carrollton, in Louisville. And then I know you all are in the Little Elm area. That's a whole different area than maybe Capel per se. So what I think would be ideal is for us to start out with maybe one or either two hubs, and then make sure we get that manned and going smoothly, and then we can add other hubs in the other cities around us. And basically what we would do is we would ask one or two people to call, and I know Gloria Smith, she's been on our calls, she's one of our members. She's on all of our political action calls, and she participates in our OVOB meetings. I know she had contacted the Louisville Mall Music City and gotten an approval there. So that that space has been approved. Let me put that on here. And she may have contacted Grapevine Mall. So that's just an idea. Grocery store, because the idea, Arinthia and everybody, is that you want to go to a high trafficked area. Like, we don't want to go, so we want to go where people are. That is the key to voter registration, is that you go where they are. You know, you don't expect non-voters to come to us. We've got to go where people are. We got to go to them. So that's basically the idea. So if anybody, you know of a spot that you want to, I don't know what I meant by grocery time. I must have got caught up. So what we'll do after we finish, get some ideas, we'll try to get somebody to volunteer to get the approval, because what we need to do is get that approval. We have several people that are engaged in various sororities and fraternities, or even churches. And what we would do is get one of those organizations to adopt a specific location. And that group would be responsible for the materials, for manning it, and all of that good stuff. And we could come out and participate, have our members to go volunteer on those days too. And it's always very, very fun. So let's get some other ideas as to how we can be impactful.
Do we know, Crystal, anything about, because this is Arinthia again, and I live in a space of meeting people where they are. How about, are there any spaces that are off limits? Let me ask that.
No, I mean, we just have to get the approval for sure.
Okay. I was thinking about the elderly, those who maybe are in rehabilitation homes and stuff like that, or those senior living, assisted living homes. Would it be possible to target those areas or those facilities as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a great spot, because again, they don't have the ability to get out.
Right. So you got to meet them where they are, right?
Mm-hmm. And
so,
okay. And we did our first year, we did a canvassing event for a weekend. We put out almost 20,000 voter registration cards in that 3 day. And so we targeted apartments and senior living homes. So I have tried to reach out to an organization to see about getting those door hangers printed up. So we will definitely engage in at least 1 or 2 canvassing weekends this year. Probably closer to the general election. Rabbi Nancy?
Thanks, Crystal. I'm just wondering about how we can activate March to the Polls to get the volunteers that you need in the places that we need them, because there are so many volunteers and so many people who've gotten, you know, their deputy voter registrar credentials. How can we connect with them better?
So we definitely, just like when I had my event with my personal organization, I reached out because I'm connected with Dallas Votes and Tarrant Votes. And when we did that, actually most of my volunteers were with March to the Polls. So, and I need to put that on here. Ken mentioned high school, civic engagement. So March to the Polls. So the reason why I brought that up, program. I'm just gonna put program on there. March to the Polls already has a youth targeted teaching and lesson plan or something, a presentation that they put together. And so I actually, when my volunteers came out last Monday, several of them were a part of March to the Polls. And so they really were excited about the presentation that I did. So what I would like to do, I agree with what Ken stated, is that and what you're stating, Nancy, is that we can partner with March to the Polls with that youth civic engagement program. And also we can use the program that I'm doing with C. Bates and make it a two-part series where we do the training, the March to the Polls training, we do the civic engagements training with C. Bates, and then we do the voter registration. So we can put together what we want our civic engagement piece to look like, because March to the Polls is always looking for people to do that training. So we would be able to, they would supply the content and we would do the training, and we can go out to the local high schools and do that. So that's great. And again, like I said, all the schools are required to do at least 2 events per year. And when you include, instead of just going out doing voter registration, when we do it as civic engagement, we can probably go out even more than that. And we definitely will tap into those volunteers with March to the Polls that help with voter registration. So we can also use them for the hubs, whether we do it at the grocery stores, the mall. We definitely can engage them. I always, with all the platforms I've ever been in, we have space that we share our flyers and opportunities to volunteer, because just like you said, Nancy, Rabbi Nancy, I'm sorry, when people get out and get their certification, they love it. They want to be engaged. And so we definitely, once we identify hubs and get the approval, we'll create a flyer and we'll get somebody to do a sign up genius or whatever it's called and get people to sign up. And so, yes, so it won't be that only this group of sorority members or this church has, it's always open, and we'll have slots on there, because if we do that, we'll be able to adopt more hubs, because that's what we want. We want people to say, you know what, I need to register to vote. DFW Metro is always up at the grocery store between 12 and 4, so let me go up there. Then we can also apply for different swag, free things, free snacks, and different things. I can work on trying to get that too.
And I just want to say that, you know, there are over 1,000 volunteers registered for, you know, Get Out the Vote. And I just want to make sure that even though there are 9 people on this call, they know that we're connected to all these other groups that are doing the same thing. And we're not just doing this in a very small, isolated environment.
Right. So I'm going to put partnerships. March to the Polls. And so this is another thing everybody can work on and participate in, is identifying various organizations that we can partner with. For instance, when we did at Westside, we did the high school, the HBCU day. We also did Juneteenth at Music City Mall. We pulled volunteers from some of these organizations to do that because we didn't have enough people. So we definitely would always reach out to these other organizations. So I'm putting some organizations on here that we already have partnerships with. So this is an area as well that everybody on the call, if everybody on the call finds at least one more organization to add to this partnership list, and that can be different clubs, organizations, sororities, fraternities, churches, businesses, families, high schools, whatever. So if everybody on the call could try to help us add some other organizations to our partnership list, that would be great. Now only when we put partners on here, that means we need somebody to commit to tune into their meetings so we can also add value to what they're doing too. Because some people miss what partnership and collaboration means. That means just like we need them to fill in for us, we need to find opportunities where we can support what they are doing as well. So for instance, with March to the Polls, if we invite their VDRs to be out and for if it may be someone on the call that doesn't know what VDR stands for, that's Volunteer Deputy Registrar, because in the state of Texas, you have to be deputized and certified to register people to vote. It's illegal for you to register somebody to vote if you have not gone through the proper training. And so we just finished a 4-county one. And a lot of the election departments in the surrounding area are allowing people to do it virtually, and they're mailing things out due to COVID. So that's a plus. So if anybody is not already a VDR, because I do want our political action team to be 100% VDRs. So if it's anybody that's not, we need to work on trying to make that happen. So
Well, Crystal, this is Arinthia.
Okay.
I would need to work on getting that done, the VDR.
We're gonna make sure to make that happen. We got one other person in a meeting we just recently had that needs to do it too. So I'll make sure to get that taken care of for you, to help you get that situated. So awesome. I love it. I love it. Now, is it anybody else on the call that's not a VDR? I know Ken said he just got his.
Crystal, this is Monica. I am not.
Okay, so we got to get you registered, because, and another thing for y'all to know is that when we go out in the community, oftentimes when we go out, that's our way in the door. That's like voter registration is like the key to the event. When the city of Grapevine allowed us to come out and participate in their trunk or treat, we did voter registration that day. Well, we offered to, I don't know if we registered anybody that day, but we offered to do voter registration. And as a branch, when we go out and do voter registration, we also always do membership drives as well. So they go hand in hand. So we definitely want as many of you as possible to be VDR. So we'll make sure to work on getting Arinthia and Monica and anybody else on the call that's not already a VDR. So let's make sure, let's try to get some other ideas right here. Uh-oh, that's not right. Okay, so identifying areas of low voter turnout. We got voter registration hubs. Do we have any other suggested areas for voter registration hubs? Okay. So what can we get, maybe 1 or 2 more ideas?
For hubs, you mean?
Just for hubs, or just ideas in general of what we can do to try to engage our community in this political process.
Crystal, what would you think about maybe contacting some area chambers of commerce? And most chambers, I was a member of the Coppell Chamber for a while. Most chambers of commerce have probably a monthly meeting or so. And now this is more long-term than the immediate primary, but possibly making a presentation or at least attending a meeting of a chamber of commerce and just say, if any of the businesses that are a part of the chamber would be interested in having a voter registration table set up or at their business. Of course, we've already got grocery stores, but there may be other types of businesses that interact frequently with the public, where you would have a lot of engagement possible.
Okay, I like that idea. Okay, so basically make presentation or attend the local chamber meeting.
Right.
Okay. To network with local businesses to participate in voter registration events. Another idea would be, in all of this, I'll clean this up because really some of this should be over here, but I'll clean it up later. I just want to make sure we capture the ideas. Another idea would be, I had an idea, y'all, and it just, community events, local city and community events. Like kind of like what we did with Grapevine when they had the trunk or treat event. Because the idea, you all, I want us to regularly have hubs every weekend somewhere. And then I want us as an entire branch to participate, to have a community event that we participate in every single month. Because again, just be reminded, the NAACP is not allowing us to to have meetings, but we can go out to other events in the community and participate. So this gives us an opportunity to participate in local city and community events. And again, that allows us to participate and have an impact, but yet we're not doing the heavy lifting of having to plan an event. Kind of like what we said earlier with Orinthia, is that we're going where the traffic already is. Like we're not reinventing the wheel or creating anything. We're going where people are already present. Local city.
I will, I'll look at this, Karen. I'll look up community events in our region and see what's happening, currently, and then what's planned over the next year.
Okay. And if we could just do, and like I said, we can do at least one, or even multiple events per month. And we can already go ahead for the month of October and put the city of Grapevine with their trunk or treat event, because they said they definitely would do that again. And Karen, we can pull from all of our 5 cities and also include Little Am in that as well. So,
Okay.
and the next time I have a meeting with the police chiefs, I'll ask them as well if they know of anything, and see if they have a community liaison that we can connect as well.
Crystal and Karen, just an idea on that is, I live in Irving, and we get, just as a routine matter, kind of an update as to what's going on with city functions and, Parks and Rec and that kind of thing. And it really gives a calendar of the various community events that are going on in Irving. Now, Irving's just an example, but I'm sure the rest of the communities around have such things as well, and that could operate as sort of a springboard.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. How do you receive that? Is it just emailed to you? Is it on a Facebook page?
I get
How do
it.
you get that
We get them in the mail.
in the mail? Okay.
I
And
get
I was
Cassandra
gonna
does-
start
similar
with
for Louisville, and I can keep those. I'll be honest, I don't read them thoroughly, but they are a pretty lengthy, like, newspaper.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
we're
for
all guilty of
Louisville.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can keep and read through those and report back as well for Louisville.
Awesome.
Honestly, the
Awesome.
reason that I look for them is to find what new bike trails they've opened
There you go.
up.
And the other thing too, I was thinking back with the Chamber of Commerce idea, which I think is a great one, is, these local businesses like to market that, when they do things like that, when they're partnering with organizations that benefit the community. So I can work with the communications team as far as thinking of a way of how they, for lack of a better word, promote that. Because they love that whenever they can show off their participating in their community. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Y'all,
I
I missed it. Like I heard it, but I don't know if I grasped it. I'm sorry. Can you explain it again for me?
Yeah, I was just thinking I can work with the communications team as far as figuring out a way on how the local communities, if they are willing to participate, these local businesses like to display the fact that they are working with community organizations, that as a local business, they support local organizations to better the community. That's something they're always looking to promote for themselves. I mean, think about realtors and all these local businesses that sponsor sporting events and things like that. So if we could think of a way that they could promote that they are a voter hub and what a big deal that is, it works. It's a good hook for some of these businesses.
To partner and become voting hubs. Is that what you mean? Did I write that correctly?
I can't see it. You can,
Oh,
I'm wrong.
okay.
You can read it back to me.
No worries. Contact local businesses to partner for them to become voting hubs.
Yeah, and specifically, I think the chamber idea is really good because
Okay.
you've got them all in one room and you can speak to everybody at one time. And a lot of those chambers, you know, they have directories of all the local businesses too.
Mhm. Okay. So, okay. I think I got this right. It's not working. Okay, I think I got that on there. And I'm gonna put it there. Okay. Now, Kim, would you be willing to follow up with the chamber?
Yeah, I can do that. In particular with the Coppell Chamber, I've got kind of an in over there. Let me ask you though, when we, let's say we get some of this stuff, I mean, we're really talking about voter registration is the thrust here, right? I mean, that's what this is about. Is it necessarily NAACP sponsored voter registrar efforts, or is it just voter registration?
So it's not just voter registration. For some organization it is, but that's how you miss the mark. If we only focus on voter registration, it has been proven that that's a failed effort alone. You have to combine engagement, mobilization, and education and advocacy. So for instance, later on in the year, you remember, I don't know if you were on board then, but we had election protection. We had someone to come, an attorney, do a presentation on election protection because people were going to the election sites and experiencing different discrepancies and stuff, and they needed to know their rights. So eventually we'll have a presentation on election protection. We'll have that group to come out and do that. Education and advocacy, education. I hope we can get to the point where we can have some candidate forums. And even if we don't have the manpower to do it, that we partner with other organizations. But in the meanwhile, on one of these slides, I mentioned the League of Women Voters. They have always, for as long as I can remember, did an excellent job of producing a non-biased, non-party affiliated voter registration guide that is very well respected in everywhere basically. So I did share, if you go on our Facebook page, I shared and I'll share it in our group too. They recently just posted, I'm not even logged on the Facebook here, so I can't show you there, but they recently shared their voting guide, and they have QR codes where you can on that one QR code, on that one flyer, let me tell you what it says. And I hate that I'm not on my computer, so I can't show you from there. But on that voting guide that they just put out, which everybody's been waiting on, they have QR codes. You can scan one to check if you are registered to vote, to make sure because they purge lists all the time. Then see a sample ballot. You want to see a sample ballot before you go to the elections office, so they have a QR code for that. And then if you want to research different candidates on your ballot, they have a QR code for that. And then you can compare the party's platform. And then there's a code for call or visit to visit the entire site of League of Women Voters. So we want to do a combination of them all. So yes, we'll do voter registration, but we'll do a combination of things.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, so we definitely, as the NAACP from the national across the board, none of our branches are asked to just do. As a matter of fact, I don't know, was anybody on the call able to participate? They just had an amazing, they had a national all-call voter registration, political action, all-call meeting. They did it maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Unfortunately, I failed to remember that anytime the NAACP nationally puts something out, it's always at Eastern Standard Time. And I had another event and I had 2 o'clock and I told them, I said, yeah, I gotta leave at 2 o'clock. I got a meeting. By the time I got on there, the call actually started at 1. And so I missed it. But it was wonderful. And I'm still trying to get
Crystal, you say that I was this close to putting on the thread that we've got going, that to make a note that it was Eastern time, that thing was Eastern time, because I would have missed it as well. But I saw the Eastern time and I thought, oh, that's 1 o'clock. So.
Right. Well, you know, and it was so good. People are still talking about it. I mean, I only got to hear a little bit of it, but I'm like, oh my God, because they had state representatives, Congress people from all over.
Great.
That was on it. It was phenomenal. But I do have access to the slides. If you all remind me, I'll try to put the link because they did email out the slides. So I think does anybody have just 1 or 2 things, anything else that they want to add to this? Because I want to go back. Okay, Rabbi Nancy.
I just want to say that the League of Women Voters here in Dallas is having their annual Susan B. Anthony Award luncheon on Thursday. If anybody on this call wants to go, let me know and I'll be sure to invite you. I mean, the League is doing amazing work locally as well as nationally. So if you want to come, let me know.
What time is that going to be?
11:30.
I think I definitely want to go.
Great.
Yes.
Plan on it. I'll let you know the details.
Okay, sounds good. 11:30.
If anybody else would like to go, just text me at 214-801-0586. I'll be happy to add you to the list.
Okay. Now, do we need to buy tickets in advance or what?
No, I'll get you. No, I
Okay.
will make sure you can come.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good deal. I definitely want to attend that. Okay. So do we want to add anything else to this list of things? So what I want to go back and do now, the urgency of today's meeting, of course, is that we have the primary coming up. So we've got to activate something like literally overnight to have an impact for what's coming up. As soon as the primaries after March the 1st, I want us all to pick something. Everybody's heard something, so you start wrapping your head around what you want to do, because I don't want anybody to get off this call without picking up something. So everybody's gonna pick up and identify something on the list that we came up with today, if you already have it. But I do want us to agree upon at least 1 or 2 things that we can do, that we can activate to have an impact on the upcoming election. Rabbi Nancy, is that a new hand or is that from earlier?
I will lower my hand. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you got it. You're okay. Okay. Now, Bridget and Marcus, y'all, we haven't heard from you all. Dick and Grassy, y'all unmute, and we want y'all to participate in this tonight. Give us some ideas. So, and then Bridget, let me say, Bridget is one of our wonderful volunteers with C. Bates. She has been participating in our phone banking and text banking. And so that's another area that we definitely need volunteers to participate in, is phone banking and text banking.
So at this moment, I don't have any ideas, but I am ready to contribute to the efforts that were already stated. So I can easily do that, still get my feet wet on what's effective, most effective, things of that nature. but I'm willing to support in the things that have already been said.
Okay, so Pastor Halton, let me correct you.
Yes.
You all, I'm gonna have to correct Pastor Halton. He is actually
Okay.
already connected because we have tasked him, which we've had several conversations, that he is going to reach out to local churches. What we want to do and activate with our churches and our faith-based communities, we want them to identify at least 2 people within their congregations and identify them as the voter registration go-to person.
Yes,
We
that's
want
right.
them
That's
to
right.
publish that name in their bulletins. We want the pastor to call it out from the pulpit, whatever they need to do, that everybody in their congregation knows that brother, our sister, or reverend so-and-so can register you to vote. That's at a minimum. If they can get 20 people to become VDRs, that's what we want. But so he's definitely needed some help identifying the churches. We already created a link, which I think we've already posted on the Facebook page, where we're asking faith-based communities to fill out the form. And all we're asking for is to put their name in our database, the name of their church, their website, and a contact person and information, so we can send that information to them and engage them. So yes, Pastor Halton, you already have an assignment. And you can also participate in anything else on the list, but he's already engaged in that piece. And if anybody knows someone that's associated with a religious association or faith-based association or coalition of churches or whatever, if they are willing to share information with us, we definitely want that. Pastor Halton and I have already talked about also possibly having a pastoral luncheon with faith-based leaders at some point as well. That's on our agenda. Yeah. So we'll use that database for multiple things. So absolutely, because we definitely want to engage our faith-based communities in participating, maybe in either participating in a voting hub, or like Westside had that HBCU event at their church, us finding out what the local church, what events the local churches have going on. That's definitely an area that we can get engaged in. And then again, getting them to participate in the work that we're doing as well. So Pastor Halton, I'm definitely gonna want you to continue with, how many churches do you have on the list now?
There may be about 8 on now, but I did find a site where I have more. So I'm just migrating those over. So I do have a site that's like full of churches, and it states the area of the church, but I'm moving it over to our personal director.
Now, before you put them on that list, make sure you vet them and call them, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, because we don't want to just have anybody on the list. We want to actually have contact with them.
Okay, because I've some of them I had to track down the link. They may have changed the name of the church or changed the web address of the church, and so I just tracked it down. But okay, I'll verify. I get with them, and of course, it's time to start getting more in contact with their people so they can get on board and get their 2 people.
Right.
As you said, prepared to work with us. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor Halton. Because that alone is going to be a full task for you. Because if we can aim to have at least 25 to 30 churches on that list by the end of March, or at least 30. You think 30, 40 is too many or reasonable? What's a reasonable
number? No, 30 is reasonable. 30, you mean just contacting them or them being active? That's easy. That part, we can at least have 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
30 to 40.
Yeah,
we want to have them on the list and then actually make some contact with them. So maybe getting Drew to draft the letter that after you have contact with them, you get their email and you send them that letter with the ask. Deacon Grasty?
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Deacon Grasty?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, I don't know if you've already gotten information from Jackie Shaw about what Westside is doing, but I'm sure if you haven't, I know she got something.
Right.
So if you haven't, I can certainly get from her what the social justice is doing for the voter registration and all. And I'm certain that Dr. Atchison be happy to help. And he'd be a good resource as well to talk to about churches in the area, because certainly he knows everybody who's anybody. I know we have, sons of the West Side Ministry, like Pastor Chris Respis and Pastor Joe Fields and people like that in the area. Larry Willis over in Denton at Moore Street. There's a lot of people you can contact to add to that list that would certainly help. And then the other thing that I was looking at was, while you were talking about the hubs, I kind of looked it up, and I see some information on, past election and voter registration figures from the Secretary of State on the texas.gov site. And being a database administrator, I figure I'll go ahead and grab some of those numbers, throw them in the database, do some analysis for you, so you might be able to identify where some registrations might be low, at least, and keep that going forward.
Okay.
So we can use that information.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Deacon Grasty, I'm sure you've probably already located it, but if not, what I'll do is send an email or contact with Sean Reed, because there are some specific sites that you can go to that will allow you to aggregate the data and pinpoint specific areas for us. So I'll make sure so he could share some of those resources with you too. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's what I do all day long. So
Okay.
if it's already aggregated, save me the work.
Right. So I'm gonna get Sean, Pastor Halton, can you in the chat share your information with Deacon Grasty, because he just gave some good information, and sounds like between him and Dr. Atchison, they have some information to help with the piece with mobilizing the churches for the directory. And,
okay, certainly, I'll do it.
Connect. So if you two could share your information in the chat. Okay, for the sake of time, I didn't realize what time
Crystal.
it was.
Crystal, this is Arinthia Haynes. So with Pastor Gatsby, I think it was, who was just speaking, we were just talking about assisting with the low voter turnout in our community. So would it be wise for me to connect with him? Because that's what I want to get my hands wet with. I want to kind of get some data for you just to focus and target those areas where we have low voter turnout.
Okay, absolutely. Awesome. So I'm going to send an email for Arinthia and Deacon Grasty. I'm going to send an email with all of you all with Sean, so he can direct you, because there are some specific sites where that information exists. So we got that. So what I want to go back to do real quick before we get off, we got to do something for the day of action, which is on February the 20th. So what do we want to do? Do we want to do the Souls to the Polls registry again, or do y'all want to do something different?
Well, I think you should at least do that, since it's, like you say, we put in a little effort and get a lot of benefit out of it.
Right.
So we don't do nothing else, we should do that.
Right. And I agree. And most of this work is already done. I can pull up the information from the last time. We can probably tweak the dates and just update the material from the last time. What I think, I think the ask would be is somebody to commit to the Eventbrite. Hold on one second. That's this sheet right here. So somebody to commit to the Eventbrite. So this, we'll go back to this, because these are the target organizations that we want to target. But the things we would need to do is creating a flyer, somebody create the Eventbrite, Drew would do the press release, And then the logistics, so basically this is already done because we already had that in the previous Eventbrite. So basically if an organization doesn't know what to do, we just included all of this in that Eventbrite for them to know exactly what to do. Okay. So basically, if you were talking to somebody and trying to persuade them to participate, they would identify their meeting place. Where is your caravan going to leave from? They would also need to secure civilian escorts or police, or they can also ask local funeral homes. They definitely need to have somebody that's going to lead the group to make sure everybody stays safe because they're going to have intersections to pass through. Get a caravan route approved by the city. Now, some areas they may not have to do all of this, but because I did it before, I want to make sure I put everything out there that they know exactly what could possibly be needed. You ask them to blow their horns, decorate their cars, practice social distancing and wear masks. So these are just general things that for the logistics. And again, this is already in a document. So what we would need is somebody to create the flyer, create the Eventbrite. Those are two big asks. So we can get somebody to volunteer to do those things. And I think like I said, the verbiage for the Eventbrite we've already did, so we can share that information. We've already done, so we can share that information and it can be tweaked. So does anybody want to set up the Eventbrite? Can somebody do that for us?
So, Crystal, what are the requirements for setting up the? I'm sorry. Go ahead. We'll speak.
Say, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Krista, can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead. I can now.
Oh, okay. This is Bridget. I've been having problems with my audio. I'm willing to volunteer. Of course, I did complete my VDR requirements. I'm willing to volunteer. You know, I'm a novice at this. And so I will step in wherever you deem it's appropriate for me.
Okay.
I'm trying to mobilize some other volunteers at this point, but just let me know where you think I could best be used and I'll try my best to do whatever you need me to do.
Okay, sounds good. I got something for you.
All right, good deal.
Okay. Anybody want to volunteer to do the Eventbrite?
Hi, Crystal, this is Arinthia Haynes.
Okay.
Yes, this is Arinthia Haynes, and I would volunteer. I would need some guidance. Because I'm getting my feet wet here, but I'm willing to be the willing hands that you need to create the Eventbrite.
Okay, sounds good. So what I'll do is gather the information from the last time, and you can just tweak it. And I'll talk to you so you'll know exactly what to do there. Again, it's pretty much already done because we did this before. It just will need to be updated, and we'll need to get the link so that link can go on the flyer. Do we have anybody that wants to volunteer to do the flyer? If you don't know how to professionally do a flyer, you can do it in Canva. That's an option.
Registration. I can do both of those, Crystal. I can do the flyer and I'll go ahead and take the Eventbrite because I think they're contingent upon one another.
Okay.
In a sense, because the same information on the Eventbrite will be used for the flyer, correct?
Right.
Yeah,
And
I can handle those two items for you.
Right. And I will say that Karen, I'll ask her too, because I don't want you to have to do too much, Arinthia. And I know she's did flyers before and I didn't realize she had dropped from the call. And when I first thought about this, she may be able to have her staff to do it. And so I'll also ask her that as well. But this is, so I'll put you down for that as well. But this is what I'm asking everybody on the call to do. Everybody, right here. If I can get everybody on the call, everybody, to at least identify 3 organizations to participate, that would be wonderful. Because we want to have at least 25 to 30 organizations on the list. So what does that look like? Basically, Okay, here it is. And I'm gonna, let me share this in the chat so you all can have access to this document. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna drop this document in the chat. And what I want everybody on the call to do is when you identify, just contact the church. Let's go back. So can you all take a picture of this right here to kind of give you an idea of who we're targeting? And then I'm gonna drop that spreadsheet in the chat. And all we're asking, what we'll do is we'll have a letter, a general letter that'll be available. The Eventbrite will be available, and we'll have a flyer. So basically, you'll share that information to try to persuade some of these organizations to participate and do a Souls to the Polls event. But we want you to, has everybody taken a picture of this? And actually for this, now we do want to target churches in our area or organizations in our area, but it doesn't matter because we're going to send that press release to all of the metropolitan area news reports. So it doesn't matter what area they're in. We just want to know that DFW Metro NAACP made an effort. So for this particular ask, they don't have to be in our area. They can be anywhere in the Metroplex, okay? Everybody cool with that? So some of your churches and organizations may already be doing things, and that's fine. Just go ahead and put their information here, contact them, and make sure they're okay with us putting their name on the registry, and just let them know. Basically, we're going to do some advertising for them. We're going to put out the press release, so their information will be listed in the newspaper, and then also area reporters may show up at their location for their event. And most of them are going to be super excited because that's going to help them get the word out about the effort that they're participating in. Okay, so let me grab this link. So anybody have any questions on how I want everybody to use the spreadsheet?
Probably I do. I'll talk to you once we're done with the call.
Okay.
All right.
No worries. And just stay on, yeah, just stay on because I have someone else staying on after the call too. Okay. So does anybody else need to take a picture? Everybody got this part right here?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all give me some feedback. So is everybody getting at least 3 people to sign up? Is that reasonable for everybody?
Try my best.
Yes.
Okay. And you don't have to just limit it to 3 because some people on the call may be able to get more than 3. And if so, that's perfectly fine. And I got people who have been coming in the chat to meet you all and I haven't seen anything. I'm so sorry. Okay, so this is the link. Can everybody grab that link? So as you identify churches, so because we don't want anybody duplicating work. So that's why I want you to put identify who you're going to reach out to. So I put Westside on here because me and Jackie talk all the time, but I guess Deacon Grassley could have contacted them as well. So Deacon Grassley, if you want to put your name there, you can. And I was going to reach out to New Beginnings. Capel Rotary Club did something last year. I was going to reach out to Macedonia and also to Friendship West. So if everybody can find at least 3 organizations that will commit to doing something, that will be great. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then afterward, we just go ahead and put who are we using that for who we reached out to or those who committed?
Those who committed.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
And I guess maybe we should put, even if you reached out to them, maybe put them on here too, and I'll put another link in here, comments, committed. I'll put comments and committed.
Right, so we can also prevent from, again, like you said, doing double work. Right.
Absolutely. So I added a link on there for committed and commented. Comments. So I'll change that around. Okay, anybody else? And if anybody accidentally goes into the document and something happens strange, don't panic, just call me ASAP so I can fix it. Okay, so if, and there, Karen and Nancy were on the call, and I'm sure they'll participate as well. So that at least, and then I'm sure some people that weren't on the call that are in our different groups will also participate as well. So if we do that, if everybody brings at least 3 people, we'll have at least 30 names on our registry. Is that okay? And again, you can get barbershops, there's groups of people. All they need to do is find a parking lot to meet in, decorate their cars. You know, if it's 10 or 15 of them, that's fine. And have them to all go to the polling place and vote together. That's the ideal, is that we want them to vote together. Okay, is everybody cool with that?
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up. We got good information. We got something to work with going forward, even after the primaries. And everybody has, wait a minute, everybody didn't commit. Does anybody else on here need to commit to anything? Monica, can I get you to do, Monica, will you have time to maybe call, you know how they did the virtual training for BDR? Can you contact maybe Denton County and maybe Dallas? Because we have 4 counties, but if you can contact them to ask if they have any other, what do you call it? Virtual opportunities for people to become BDRs.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. And yeah, and then maybe ask them, we may be able to set them up to do a virtual training that we can partner with, because that would be great. That maybe, and we may can ask for funding. I got a organization that we may can ask for some funding from, because I know when Marcia the Polls did it, they had to mail out a lot of stuff and that costs money. So maybe ask them, are there opportunities for them to maybe come be a guest for us and present a training during one of our meetings or something. That's an option too. Because they'll, because I think they'll mail the stuff out. So I think everybody has something on here. And then Miss Bridget.
Yes.
So if Monica, if you can contact Denton and Dallas, and then Miss Bridget, can you contact Collin County and Tarrant County?
Okay, you're gonna have to give me a little bit more specific information. Okay.
I will. So is that cool, Monica? If you could take Denton and Dallas, and then I'm gonna ask Miss Bridget to do
Tarrant.
Collin
and Tarrant. Yep, I got it.
Okie dokie then. Well,
hey, Crystal, Crystal, just a little note on the VDR thing, or is it DVR?
VDR.
Yeah, VDR. It apparently what Denton, I think it's Denton County, what they take is their application basically is you saying that you're a DVR in another county. And if you say that you are, then you're able to be one in Denton County.
Right.
That's how it is across the entire state. Once you get registered and deputized in any county in the state of Texas, all you got to do is show and present documentation of that. And you do not have to redo the training. You don't have to redo anything. They automatically honor that in another county. So that's with all the counties.
Okay.
Now, one thing that we did not get, and we do need at least 1 or 2 people to help identify some voter hubs, specifically Wincos, to get approval, because that's the place that one place that I think we could check is Wincos in Louisville and Wincos in Carrollton. So if we can get somebody to volunteer to see if we can get an approval. And I do have a contact number possibly for their corporate office. If we can get approval to do voter registration in front of their stores. If anybody wants to volunteer to contact them to try to get that approved.
Crystal, who is it that you're saying, Winco?
Winco, the grocery store, WINCO. There's one in Carrollton and there's one in Louisville.
There's also one in Arlington. I'm not familiar with Carrollton and Louisville, but there's one in Arlington as well.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay, so, and I'll send you the corporate number for them.
Okay,
And then I know one year Foot Locker or Foot Action was doing it. So, you know, maybe later we can check on one of those, that store, I think Foot Locker, to see if they are still promoting voter registration, because they may let us do it in front of their store. So I think we're good now. And I'm working on trying to get the canvassing, the door hangers taken care of. I've been trying to, that's been a bit of a task, but I'm gonna keep working on that. I have already posted information about the phone and text banking. I'll make sure that Drew puts that back in the newsletters again. So I think that's everything. And then we're always looking for partnerships. I'll try to get post the information when these organizations are having those meetings, because we will need people, if their schedule permits, to sit in on some of their meetings so we can share information. Okay. So we'll handle that in the next meeting, but we got a lot accomplished tonight. Let's just work with that. And if anybody here are partnerships, we'll just add it. But right now, everybody has assignments and marching orders, and let's just work with that for right now.
sounds good.
Okay, Pastor Halton, you want to pray us out?
Sure. Father, thank you for the moments we've shared with each other. Thank you for allowing us to even be here safely, God. We ask that you empower us, help empower us to act out the things we've been asked to do, God. Have the courage to go forward and change the society we are in, God, to make this world a better place, not just our city, state, and country, God, but to make this world a better place, that it may be a reflection of your Son and all that he's done for us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. I'm going to end